Yesterday was such a fun day for reasons that don't sound like fun at first, but it really was like such a fun day. And I want to talk about kind of like the highlight that I'm basking in from yesterday around the situation, just to kind of paint a picture so you can see where I'm at here. But like, I went to uh, our new store, and it is opening in a week from yesterday, at the time of recording this. And it's basically a whirlwind happening inside the store, like putting away freight and meeting with the people about the towels and meeting with the people about the deli and meeting with the guys about the produce and meeting with these people about this and on and on and on with like, there were probably 20 people in the store yesterday working on like 5 or 6 different things, to make sure everything is ready by the time we open next week. And so I walk in, and this is all already happening. And I step foot inside the building, and the first person is there. And the second person is like right there too, and announcing my arrival. And then it was mainly a series of being around all of these different people. And as an extremely introverted person, a day like that 6 years ago would have been my definition of a living nightmare. Okay. Like, that's like the worst case scenario, is that there's like all these people around and they all need to ask me something. Like, that sucks. And there's so much other energy in that space. It was very chaotic energy because there's like all these different auras filling up this space. And that's the fun part. That was the part that I was like, I didn't really notice that I was doing it at the time, but now sitting here this morning, kind of like in my own space where, the dust has settled and I'm back centered within myself, I'm thinking back to all of these different people that, like maybe 3 of them I had met before, and everybody else was brand new person I had never met before in my life. And so I'm standing inside of like 17 new people's aura yesterday, like in the span of maybe 6 hours. And as I'm sitting here right now, I'm thinking back to, like, there are a handful that are very memorable as far as like people feel different. Like, your aura speaks so loudly or not. It's so crazy. Like, there are some that like they had like an invisible energy. They were almost like a vacuum. Like, their presence, like you couldn't feel it. It did not impose on you at all. There's one specific person that I'm channeling right now that like his energy was so chill and present, and it was like a vacuum of like, I could feel the chaos like lifting off of me when he was standing there. He barely said a word. I was talking to somebody else and he was with her. I don't know if he was training or what his function was. He hardly said anything, but his energy, oh my God, it was so incredible. He didn't smile and he didn't speak. He just stood there. And he was by far the most memorable person that I met yesterday. And so like that's number one, is like, think about that. He didn't say anything. He didn't smile. And we barely made eye contact because I was talking to another person whose energy is very different and I want to channel hers too. Because think about that. Like, you don't have to say a word. You don't have to even make eye contact with the person in order to give them a positive energetic benefit. Your literal presence in the physical room is changing the energy of every other person that you're in contact with. Powerful. so powerful. I hope I get to see him again. Like he just his energy was so like a tree. Like just reminded me like he was just there. And it was such a comforting presence, especially in the midst of all of the chaos. He stood out. Like like how do you do that? Like that's definitely what I'm aspiring to, is to like BYOC, like bring your own calm and let it come from inside of you and exude out into the space around you. And I've been told I have a calming presence to others, but I very, 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 very rarely meet somebody who is calming to me. So that was like such a cool manifestation. Okay, so that was his energy. The chick he was with, she's one of the ones that I've met before. And so this whole project is such a walk down memory lane. It's such a full circle moment because the people that I have met before, two out of the three of them, I know them from 5.5 years ago when, or no, 5 years ago when we opened my first grocery store. So they helped me, they supported our team in having everything ready that we needed to have ready for when we opened, and they helped iron out all the kinks for when we got open and got going. And so I know them from back then, but as soon as we were up and running, I mean, we ironed out the kinks and then we were good to go, and they stepped back and they helped the next store. And so I haven't really been around either one of them in 5 years. And it's such a fun, oh gosh, it's such a fun manifestation to get to be around, especially this woman, because I remember how her energy felt 5 years ago, and I know how it felt yesterday. And she was one of the ones that I was a little bit like armoring up going into this whole day, knowing that it was going to be chaos. And I knew I would be around her for at least a couple hours. And her energy, she is one of the most powerful. I'm going to say she's got to be a generator, either a generator or a manifesting generator. Like her sacral life force energy it is one of the most, like they say generators have an enveloping aura that like it just envelops everything around you and just you're just around all of it. And hers, and actually now that I say that, I'm linking it with another lady that I was around yesterday that has a very similar presence but not nearly as loud. Not, and I don't mean loud physically, I mean loud energetically, but like hers was a lot more subtle. This chick that the calm guy was with, her energy 5 years ago, it bowled me over. It knocked me down. And it, like, I mean this with all the love in the world, it hurt me to be in her presence because her energy was so powerful. And as an open sacral being, I take in other people's life force and I amplify it. And amplifying her life force hurt me. It was like just so painful to even be around her. And she had so much of the answers that I needed for my project. And so I had to be around her. And it was such a growth edge 5 years ago to be in her presence. And yesterday, I felt like I was sitting inside of an Easter egg of my own calm. And I don't know how much of that was me and how much of that was the guy that was standing right next to her, that was like with her, that, you know, like he was like helping reinforce my Easter egg of calm, what little bit I had. I don't know. It was a team effort. And I was literally inside of this Easter egg and her energy was around the outside. And I freaking fell in love with her. I fell in love with her intensity. And I was so freaking grateful to have her on our team. It felt like powerful, powerful abundance to have someone like her on our team pulling for us, making sure we are where we need to be by December 7th. Like she is working on it. And that felt so reassuring, so powerful, so empowering. Like I don't have to worry about any of this because she's got it covered. Oh my gosh, that's such a relief. Thank goodness she's here. And that was my whole reaction. And it didn't even occur to me until this morning the light years of difference from 5 years ago dealing with this woman to yesterday, and how I felt about her yesterday was like, oh dear sweet soul, thank you so much for being here. Like I just can't say thank you enough. And I did. I told her thank you so many times. And she's just right there, like willing to devote this, like one of the most powerful, forceful life force energies I've ever come into contact with. And she's putting it on our team. She's devoting it to our project, getting to where it needs to be. And that felt rich in a way that, yeah, it was so cool to get to be in her energy and see the beauty of it. And I yeah, I it really opens up this whole Easter egg of like all of the pieces that I have learned and practiced over the last 5 years that let me not amplify her energy, to not take it in to my system. And where before 5 years ago, I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know how to turn it off. I just amplified everybody I ever came into contact with. And yeah, like most people are having a bad day. Most people don't feel good when you're out in the world on a regular basis, and amplifying all of it, there was just so much in that energy. And her energy didn't necessarily feel bad. It was just powerful. And when I amplified that power, so it was even more, I wasn't built yet for holding that much power. And so I do think that that's part of it, is that I have grown in my capacity to. So I think that's part of it, but I also think that I've practiced a lot of skills as far as how to, within my presence, within the present moment, how to tune in to energies and how to tune out of them, as in how to basically tune in again, but to myself, tune into my own energy and stay within the center of my own energy. I now know how to do that. And so, yeah, I felt like I was in an Easter egg. I was like inside my own energy, and I could feel her energy all around me. I mean, she's a friggin' force. I've never met anybody else like her. She's amazing. But so freaking cool to get to have that benchmark, that like progress check of like how her energy feels. And yeah, that I'm very, very grateful for. Um, The other piece that really stuck out to me, so this is a two-person effect that, like, because of this person's aura really was noticeable, where I don't think I would have noticed it before. But they both, they had eyes that just like, they were like trying to look into my soul, it felt like. And one of them's energy came into my system. And like all of this that I've been talking about, as far as like, you know, having my own center and my Easter egg, and I'm in there and I can feel energy outside of myself, that I can sense that it's out there, but it's not like inside my system. And these two people, they both had the same eyes. They both did that, but one of them, their energy penetrated into my energy, and the other one was like the woman before, like the energy was just swirling on the outside, like it didn't come in. It did not move my energy at all, the fact that this person was looking at me like that. But the other one did. And you just like gotta wonder, like, out of all of these different auras, all of these different energies, like, oh, yeah, like how it all works, how it all comes together. Like, why do some people's energies come in and some other people's energies stay on the outside? Like, it's so interesting to feel all of these different energies. Another really fun progress check was the other person that I know from 5 years ago when we did the first store. And he's like the main guy as far as supporting us from the grocery side. And he's just happens to be the person assigned to do this store as well. And so we get to come back together for this project. And he is a person that his energy is, I'm going to say, some of the most self contained, least expressive energies that I've ever been around. As in, when you crack a joke, he's got like stone face. Like he's a statue. And he's like that. He's very straight faced. He's very straight to the point. He does not react. He does not, like, where almost all people mirror you to some extent, he does not. He does not mirror whatsoever. And 5 years ago, that really shook me up. It like really, really, really made me anxious. It made me very insecure. Like I don't know where I stand with him, you know? Like if I can get somebody, which is so weird, he helped me realize this, but like if I can get somebody to mirror me, then like there's a connection in that. There's like a reassurance in that. There's a like that outside external validation in that that helps me to know that like our relationship is in a good place. And with him, it didn't work like that. Like he did not mirror me no matter what I did. He stayed his same statue self no matter what I did. And it was so interesting to, like, I think with him, it's almost the opposite of the woman before, where like he doesn't really give me any energy to like amplify. That's kind of what I mean by self contained. Like his energy stays inside of himself. And so when I come into contact with him, like where normally I'll take in people's energy and amplify it, and I'll know a really good sense of like, who am I dealing with? He's a freaking statue. I'm like, do you even have energy in there? Like it's so locked inside. And so, yeah, like dealing with him 5 years ago, it was one of the more challenging relationships that I had had, but for very different reasons from the woman before, for like almost the exact opposite reason, is that she's giving me everything and he's giving me nothing. And so, yeah, like with him, yesterday, I made him laugh multiple times. He like cheered me on when I walked in. He was the one that announced my arrival. The Carly's here, the one and only. And so like he comes out of his shell now. And that's, I mean, that's cool to see. Like that's fun to get to see when you crack somebody up. But on my side, I'm over here cracking myself up. I'm having fun and I'm playing because that's what I'm doing. And I'm not worried about his stone face because whatever, like I'm, reclaiming my power on a regular basis so that I'm not letting people's reactions hold the power. I'm holding the power. I can be playful if I want to be playful. And so that's how I treat him. And he laughs at me. And it's like, wow, that's so great that like, before I was giving just a teeny bit and waiting for him to mirror it. And when he didn't, I would just give the teeny bit. I wouldn't like engage with him further. And now I just go full out. I give him shit. I tease him. I make jokes at his expense. I, give him a hard time because that's just who he is. He's given everybody a hard time. Somebody needs to give him a hard time. And he laughs every single time. And even when he doesn't, his eyes smile, even when his face doesn't. And he gives me the eyes like, yeah, okay, that was clever. All right, good one. You got me there. And so yeah, like he's a different him. And I don't really think it's because he's a different him, because yeah, the consensus around seems to be that he's pretty stoic or somber. And that's not the version of him that I get. He laughs and he makes jokes and he smiles, and yeah, it just seems to be a different version of him. And again, I attribute it to the last 5 years and learning to sit in the center of my energy and learning to operate from a place of what's fun for me, not what are other people reflecting back to me, or what do they think about what I'm doing, or are they laughing at what I'm saying, so that'll tell me if I'm going to say more in the future? Like, no, none of that. Like, I'm having fun because that is my personality, and if you want to have fun too, you are welcome to join me, and if you don't want to have fun too, you don't have to join me. Like, that's not required, but I'm going to be me no matter who I'm dealing with. And so, like, seeing the difference in myself and seeing the difference in him between yesterday and 5 years ago, like, again, I'm just so freaking grateful that I got to have that progress check, that reflection of getting to see just how far I've come. There's one more aura I want to talk about. Well, at least, we'll see where we end up here. But um, this next one, this person's energy, it, how best to describe it? The words that are coming through are like lightning storm. I'm seeing like a tornado of like the person is in the middle, and then there's like a tornado of debris and dirt and dust like swirling around the person. And it's like the tornado of debris is all I feel, is all, that is all that is coming off of them. And like anything else of like them in the middle of all of that debris and chaos in their energy field, all it is chaos. And the reason I paint this picture about like them in the middle, and then like you can't even see them energetically because all you can sense is this chaos around them. And the reason for that is because this person is very hard to communicate with as far as like information getting through the swirling, debris field around them. It's very hard to get information through, and it's very hard to get information out. It's like all of that chaos is just a battlefield of trying to communicate with this person. And, again, I look at all of these auras as experiences and fun that I designed for myself to have. Like every single different person that you meet and every single different reflection and energetic experience that you have with people is for the purpose, I think, of clarifying to yourself how your energy works. And reflecting here this morning, I don't think I've ever been so clear on how naturally my energy field does this. Like when I meet people, like I download your energetic profile like in an instant, come into contact with you, and it's inside of me, or on the outside of my Easter egg, and I'm just sensing it through the Easter egg. Like it just depends on who it is that I'm dealing with. But yeah, every single person shows me something different about how my energy works, and like just kind of putting me into the driver's seat of like, I feel like our auras, they have all these levers and all these buttons and all these different capabilities, and you can do this with it, you can do this with it. And I feel like yesterday I was, and today I'm like reflecting back and like actually kind of coming up to the bigger picture and connecting the dots on all of those experiences and how naturally my aura was navigating, like putting on the Easter egg, taking off the Easter egg, going into other people's energies, coming out of other people's energies, back into myself. Yeah, it was like an incredible experience. It felt like a roller coaster almost, of like ups and downs and swerves and slow parts and fast parts. And it was just so wild to have so many different auras to access in such like rapid fire succession, and so many different energies to come into contact with, so that it's almost giving me that sense of like, standing in the center of a funhouse mirror where it's like a 20-sided mirror, and like literally a 20-sided mirror, 20 different people in that space. And every single person is reflecting back to you a different angle of seeing yourself, a different angle of seeing your own energy more clearly. And every single person gave me something to be grateful for. Every single person in their energy, no matter if they were silent and the calmest person maybe I've ever met in my life, or the most powerful energy I've ever met in my life, like the most powerful, forceful energy, the like most self-contained energy, the most chaotic energy, like not, that doesn't matter. None of that matters. Like people can be however they are, and we can hold our ground in the middle of all of that. And I genuinely believe that we do that by, first and foremost, understanding our own aura, understanding our own center. Like, where is the center of your energy, and how often are you hanging out in there? And everybody's going to do that in their own way. And you may even, not believe that that's even necessary. So like whatever, but in my experience, and so that's, limited to me, but in that experience of learning my own aura and spending hours, thousands of hours probably, over the last 6 years in my own aura, meaning like physically in solitude, I know how my energy feels. And so when somebody else's energy comes into my field, I can feel it instantly. I can feel where theirs starts and mine starts, and where they come together, and how theirs is pushing on mine, and where's the pressure, where's the sensation, where's the tickle. Like it's like a whole nother body that is active. And I believe, and this is again because of what I've experienced, I believe that I'm able to feel it like that because I know so well what my energy feels like when nobody else is there. And so that, even that, like that had, for me, had to be accomplished in solitude. And even being able to feel my own aura makes me grateful for all of the time that I've ever spent off by myself, doing my own thing, being in my own inner world, and getting to know myself. By going more deeply into myself, there's like a space that I've reached where, like the Easter egg with the woman, where her energy didn't come in. I was inside the Easter egg. And again, maybe the guy, the calm guy, was like helping to fortify my Easter egg. Maybe he was holding me in an Easter egg. Who the hell knows? Doesn't matter. I didn't feel her energy like coming into my system and blowing up my circuits like it did 5 years ago. And for that, like, gosh, I just can't get over how cool yesterday was. And it has truly been a pleasure, a literal pleasure, to once again sit here in an empty room all by myself, talking out loud to my phone. And thank you in the future for listening, for hanging out. I would love to hear from you as far as like, how does your energy body work? You know, how do you sense other people's energy? Do you notice like person to person to person to person, like the different aura of each person? Like, oh my gosh. And how have you tuned your energy body? I would love to hear, like, what do you think were the steps along your path, that helped you to explore your own aura, to explore dealing with lots of different types of auras out in the world. Yeah, I would love to hear from you down below about how your journey has been on this planet, and what it's like for you to be around the other beings. can be it can be a lot. It can be pleasurable, it can be painful. Um, it can be too much. It can be not enough. And I do believe, again, this is just me, but I do believe that every ounce of all of that rests inside of our relationship with ourself, the depth to which we've met ourselves. the depth to which we reside within ourselves. And that is to say, when we, I've talked about on the channel before, like when we swim to the bottom of our soul, what's there is source energy. What's there is God. What's there is love, pure positive energy, unconditional love for you and for everything exactly as it is. And that's what I felt yesterday for all of these different auras, the ones that are soothing to my soul and the ones that feel like gritty sandpaper on the outside of the Easter egg. Like, doesn't matter. I appreciated them all. I was grateful to get to witness my energy being reflected off of their energy every single time. Every single person that I came into contact with was a joy. And again, I go back to 5 years ago, and that was so not how it worked. That was so not what I was able to say at the end of every day, Like there were people that I'm like, okay, somebody else is gonna have to deal with this person because I just can't. It hurts too bad. I can't. I'm not strong enough. And yesterday that was not the case. And yeah, just kind of, it's been really, really fun, really, really pleasurable to take this little trip down self reflection lane and connect these dots of all of these beautiful auras that I was blessed to get to explore yesterday. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll take such good care of the sweet soul that you are.